Hello everyone, I'm back again for the latest in a long line of live reactions today. It's been a busy day so far to say the least, but a very good one nonetheless. Earlier I watched episode 25, that was wonderful. Then I, not too long ago, watched episode 26 and that was... Well, that was something, as you'll see, or as you probably already have seen by now. That was definitely something rather incredible, and this time we'll be watching the brand new trailer for part 3 of the 1000-Year Blood War anime arriving in 2024, though we don't have a specific date yet, but judging by the title of this video anyway, it seems to be called The Conflict, which is an awesome, very exciting name. I took a little break after watching episode 26, God knows I needed it after that insanity, and now it seems fitting to finish off the reactions of the era of Core 2 with a look into the future of the series. I don't really know what to expect from this trailer, to be honest, but at the same time I feel like I kind of do, although I've definitely been wrong about that in, well, as you'll see, relatively recently. But it's not particularly long, so after we've watched it through once or twice, we'll go through it shot for shot and try to break it down as best we can as well. This is going to be something of an impromptu video, but it should be fun all the same. Of course, it goes without saying that there will, at least I imagine, be massive spoilers for upcoming story moments and events within the 1000-Year Blood War arc, and of course I'll be diving deeper into the source material itself when it comes to discussing them, so be warned, major spoilers for the remainder of the 1000-Year Blood War arc to follow. And of course, before we begin, if you haven't hit subscribe yet, make sure to do that now for more Bleach content like this every single week, and if you enjoyed the video, when you're done with it, make sure to give it a thumbs up as well to help support me and the channel. And also, before we get started, a massive shout out goes out to everyone supporting me over on Patreon. I really do appreciate each and every one of you, and I really couldn't do this without you, so thank you all so very much. But now, without further ado, the trailer for part 3, called The Conflict. I'm kind of expecting this to whiz by, so you might have to bear with me a little bit. We'll watch it a couple of times. Okay, so starting immediately where the finale ended, but of course now we're moving into the end of the Yuha arc, and Ichibei fight Yuha arc with the Almighty. That's the scene I was expecting to see from the last episode. Okay, Uryu fighting Senjumaru. Unsurprisingly, they're making a huge deal out of Aizen. There is Chair Summer. The Garganta, also featuring Yukio and Riruka's box. They're actually showing quite a bit. Nemu's history? Kyoraku's history? Okay, we might be going... Oh, they're just showing everything. Mimihagi? We might be going a little further in this core than I was maybe first anticipating. I like the kind of like pseudo-creepy vibe in this trailer. It's really creepy and eerie. The conflict. Awesome. They're really playing up, obviously, Yuha arc and the Almighty and his overflowing extraordinary power. Coming 2024. Oh, and the sound of Uryu drawing his bow. Very ominous. An ominous portent of things to come. Based on everything that happened in the, well, in episode 25 and episode 26 in particular, it does kind of feel like next time will be probably Uryu in particular's chance to shine, but also perhaps the rest of the Stoffel as well. Let's just play it through one more time, and then we'll kind of go through it a bit slower as well. So it does start off basically with the tail end of Ichibei versus Yuha arc, by the looks of things. Yuha arc freeing himself from Ichibei's ink. It does feel kind of spoilery, this trailer. I do kind of wonder if that's very interesting, that shot of Uryu. We'll talk about that, definitely. I love Chair Summer getting just a major moment in the trailer. I will say, from the perspective of someone who has read the source material, not too many surprises in this trailer. But again, that's maybe, you know, that's probably for the best. I don't want anything too crazy to be revealed. If you're an anime only, I do kind of wonder what you kind of think looking at this trailer, because there's a lot of craziness, like the complete desecration and destruction of the Soul King's actual palace. Like, that feels like a pretty huge spoiler to me, but yeah, it's a cool trailer. It's weird. It's like, it is very, there's a bit of a horror theme going on. It's quite black and white as it moves into the second half of the trailer. There is a lot of much in the same way as the teaser trailer for part 2, there is a lot of like the sort of 3D CG elements being included, but they help to give it this really weird, almost abstract, conceptual feel. No voice lines. I just noticed as well. That's kind of interesting. There was a lot of voice lines in the teaser trailer for part 2, because that was how we kind of predicted that Shinji was going to use bankai. So whether they've done that to avoid those kind of predictions this time or not, I'm not sure. This beginning bit featuring the end of Yhwach versus Ichibei, it's kind of what I thought. This is how I thought the episode 26 was going to end, but instead it definitely didn't. Let's put it that way. As you'll see in the reaction, you probably have, like I said, seen it already. So I'm just watching it again at this point, and after this we'll go through it kind of shot by shot, frame by frame. They're showing quite a lot. Like I said, no real surprises from the perspective of someone who has read the original story, but yeah, they're gonna go, I think, based on this trailer, maybe further than I had expected, which leads me to believe that it's the ending of the series, like the very end, that might be expanded on the most, which I've got no issue with that. Yeah, very cool. It's a cool trailer, very stylish. Like I said, creepy. That's the main vibe I get from it, which makes me think they're really going to play up the eldritch nature of Yhwach wielding the Almighty and just being covered in these horrendous eyes. So let's go through it then. Let's go through it piece by piece. Okay, so immediately we see this like torrent of black rising up into the air. I can only assume that is Ichibei preparing Futen Tai Satsuryo. When he does his incantation, he does his dance, his ritual, he summons an enormous kind of tempest of black, which he then uses to create the ability. So maybe that's what's happening there. The next thing we see is Yhwach removing the inky darkness from himself after activating the Almighty. Well, this is actually just before Ichibei sees that he has activated the Almighty, so Yhwach, his eyes transform, he then stabs Ichibei, and at that point we see the darkness lift off of him before it's revealed truly what his ability actually is. That's the end of chapter 609, I think. And then that's a new shot. Ichibei kind of like driving his blade towards Yhwach's face. That's actually, I think, brand new. I think I know when that is, though. My assumption is that is when Hashwolf is explaining to Uryu how the Almighty works, and he says everything His Majesty sees, he knows, and it cannot be used against him. And in the original chapter, there was a shot of Ichibei like swinging Ichimonji, but you never saw anything kind of come of it. I assume that's what this is going to be, and then afterwards we'll see that Ichibei is unable to hit him. That kind of moment where it very briefly just goes black and white, that's really cool. And I wonder if that's just done for the trailer, because also Yhwach's eyes are glowing red, which is that's really awesome. I wonder if that's how they're going to depict the Almighty, perhaps, but it could just be for the trailer. Then, of course, we see what I believe is the end of 609, where Yhwach reveals himself, and he reveals the Almighty. He seems to be talking in the trailer in this scene, and I don't think he was originally, unless he was the one saying the Almighty in the original chapter, but I personally always thought it was Hashwolf, because he was in the middle of the explanation. Then, of course, Ichigo and his friends arrive. This is chapter 611 now, where I originally thought the core was going to end. I was wrong about that. I think most people were wrong about where it turned out it was going to end. But yeah, of course, this is them running towards the Soul King after just speaking with Ichibei and him telling them to do their best to rescue him, which is cool to see. That was always a cool shot. That moment of Ichigo slowly opening his mouth, you know, it could be anything. It could be anything. If I had to just guess, my first thought was that was him saying Ichibei Hyosabe. When Ichibei asks him to say his name, and there's like an emphasis on Ichigo's mouth as he kind of starts to speak, because it's a big deal saying Ichibei's name, especially if he's kind of commanded you to. It could be any number of things, though. Like, it kind of looks like he might even be a little bit angry, so maybe it's when he's facing off against Uryu in the palace. Yeah, it could be anything. Next, however, this is interesting. This is obviously brand new. This appears to be Uryu firing an arrow, probably at Senjumaru, because her bankai, spoilers of course for episode 26, that I just watched and I can't believe it, the arena of her bankai seems to be surrounding Uryu still at this point, so he has somehow set himself free from the fabric prison that he seemed to find himself in at the end. Yeah, that's very intriguing. How does Uryu escape? the antithesis seems like the obvious answer. Maybe both he and Hashwoth use their shrifts to get free somehow. But he's firing what looks like a soul arrow at Senjumaru. What's kind of intriguing about that is, as well, though, is it kind of reminds me that, I mean, they could repurpose it, or it could just look very similar because Uryu's just firing an arrow in both shots, but it does also kind of remind me of when Uryu fires the arrow at Yoruichi. But obviously it does appear that Senjumaru's bankai is still active at this point, so he must be fighting her. So maybe Uryu is the one who's going to take Senjumaru down, which is kind of why they perhaps foreshadowed that in a way, or at least teased that by having Uryu face her initially, episode 25. But yeah, I'm intrigued after that. I need to go and rewatch the episode again, of course, but I'm intrigued to see how the Quincy kind of get out of this situation. I can't help but feel like it's going to be, you know, one of those moments where you're a bit like, that seems really overpowered. Whatever they do to escape a bankai of that scope, that kind of divine, godly strength. I mean, Senjumaru took out all 6 members of Yhwach's elite guard with one bankai. A bankai that its activation, its mere activation, caused tremors throughout all of the world. So I'll be very interested to see how they... Because that's new. Obviously, this is a new sequence. So a continuation of the Zero Division battle. I've got to be honest, I'm not sure how long I think that fight's going to carry on for, but I'm just grateful. But anyway, moving on. The next bit is, of course, building up towards Aizen. It looks really awesome what they've done here. Like they've kind of created like this CG kind of pre-rendered look of Kyoraku. That's the key box that he needs to open to get the keys out to free Aizen's, or release some of Aizen's seals. There's one of Aizen's seals. There's the bindings around the back of Aizen's... it's either around the back of Aizen's crucifix, or it's the bit that kind of goes around his waist and down his legs. It might be that bit, actually. And then, of course, there's Chair-sama surrounded by the seals themselves. So, yeah, cool. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised to see Aizen here in a bit. Or Aizen's not here, but to see his iconography in a big way. Of course, the Garganta opening up is a nice little tease, of course, teasing the arrival of both Grimojo and Neliel. But even more, I'm kind of surprised to see them actually really emphasizing Riruka and Yukio's involvement, showing their transport method, basically, to get to the Royal Palace in chapter 625. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I think I'd be very surprised if it looks like that in the actual episode, because like the background doesn't seem to resemble anything we've ever seen before. And they're in the Garganta, right? So we've already seen how that looks like in the anime. So I would be really surprised if that is how it looks in the final trailer. It could just be being done for artistic purposes, but either way, it's cool to see. And I am excited to see those two again. After that, we have the Garganta stake that Yoruichi puts in the ground next to the Soul King, so that they can basically teleport back to him if they're inevitably knocked away, which they are. This is just a guess on my part, but looking at the tiled flooring, this is probably the one that was... I mean, this could be either, to be fair. This you only actually see this stake once the palace has been transformed, so maybe this is in Varvelt, actually, when they exit the Garganta the second time. But yeah, it's cool to see. It looks awesome. Now, this next section, this is where I think we are going quite far. So basically, based on the end of episode 26, part 2 ended, off the top of my head, I want to say 609, but not quite finishing 609. It was like 3/4 of the way through, weirdly, which means we are still going to be covering quite a lot, because this shot is of Nemu's backstory, which was revealed to us at the end of Mayuri vs. Pernida. I want to say like chapter 640, something like that. And so that's already quite a few chapters covered, but it gets even crazier than that. Up next, we have Ichigo's blades in the ground, as there's like some kind of crazy blue lighting going on. I don't really know what that's supposed to be referencing, if anything really at all, other than Ichigo's blades. I don't know what the lighting is supposed to mean, if anything. And then up next, of course, we have Kyoraku's pinwheel hairpins, which is referencing his backstory, how he came to possess both of them, which is revealed to us in Kyoraku vs. Leal. And that, again, off the top of my head, doesn't occur until about 650 or something like that, which is already only 36 chapters away from the end of the series, which is kind of crazy. I think Kyoraku vs. Leal might be as far as they go, But let's keep watching for a moment. Let's just have a look. So after that, we get to see a crossbow and a red cape. This is obviously referencing the Friend saga. That crossbow is Basby's spirit weapon, and the red cape is what Hashwolf wears when he is made captain of the Sternritter 1,000 years ago, as we see it in the flashback. Or, I mean, to be honest, it could literally just be the red cape that Basby wears as a child, but I mean, either way, it's definitely referencing the Friend saga. The Friend flashback is something I'm very looking forward to. I would be very open to them extending that. I would kind of love to see it, to be honest. And yeah, I think they might do. But that definitely seems to be what that is referencing. Afterwards, though, this is weird, this bit. So let's just kind of move through this kind of slowly. So we see like a Vandenreich emblem. We see tiny bit of text. I mean, I can't read that. And then an upside down A. So the A would imply this is referencing Uryu. And that kind of works for me because I think... So what you've got here is you've got one big wing going out to the side like that. And then what kind of looks like two smaller pairs of wings, but I actually think that could be an arrowhead, perhaps. And actually, I basically, to come out with it, my immediate thought was that this might be foreshadowing Uryu having a Volstendish. Because the way the blue lines coming in like that, my immediate first thought was it really reminds me of Uryu using Let's Steal and drawing his arrow, summoning it with those bars of blue light. Easily the coolest way an arrow has ever been created in the series. That's kind of what this feels like to me. But unless, and I know we were saying this for part 2, but unless Ichigo versus Uryu does happen in Core 3 properly, because they might have a small clash, why on earth would Uryu use a Volstendish? The only time I could see him using it is against Hashwolf, which surely is not happening in this core, unless this scene has nothing to do with Uryu using his holy form, if he has one. It just kind of feels like it probably is to me, though. I can't think of what else this would be. If we kind of just rewind. The fact that there's the upside down A as well, which makes me think of Uryu, it seems to me like that's an arrowhead in the center. So I think that could be... It's either saying Uryu has a Volstendish or he is going to use Let's Steal again. That doesn't seem very likely to me, though. He's not going to lose his powers all over again. Yeah, that's very intriguing, this little segment here. And just based off of the way the image looks, if you look kind of down in the left-hand corner, it kind of looks like he has a second wing, which would imply a holy form, but this is just conjecture. This is just me completely guessing, to be honest. Then afterwards, so I mean, yeah, they're really showing quite a bit. Afterwards, we sort of descend into this like black hole, but then you see Mimihagi. You actually and it's like this creepy like wood carving. This is of course the corporeal version of Mimihagi that we get to see when Ukitake explains about his fate and all of that sort of thing. It is cool to see this, and then you get to see the more shadowy version of Mimihagi following on after that. If they make Mimihagi kind of look like this in the anime, that would be really cool, because I actually really like the sort of fiery effect. But yeah, you actually see the eye opening on the back of its hand and everything. This is, of course, when Ukitake summons it. As I think I said in one of my reactions earlier, Ukitake is supposed to have a lot more to do in Core 3, so that, gives me a lot of hope. But yeah, it's very creepy. Like I said, this whole sequence with Mimihagi, everything to do with the Soul King is just really creepy. And then you see the Soul King's palace. It is demolished. There's a huge explosion out of the side of it of the Soul King's power, basically. This is, of course, when Yhwach is attempting to absorb the Soul King and having to expel all of the surplus energy that his body is unable to contain. And then you see the eyeball monsters emerging and making their way down to Soul Society very, very briefly. I love the style of this trailer. It's creepy. A lot of it kind of looks like it's being like painted into life as if by Ichibei. I know that's probably not what's happening, but it's a cool artistic visual style design choice all the same. I really like it. Then of course the eyes of the Almighty open as well. I actually think just by looking at that, I think that shot of the eyes, it's the shot of Yhwach's face when he says, this is what it means to be overflowing with power. I think that's what his eyes look like in that shot. The way the eyes are laid out, that is when he says, this is what it means to be overflowing with power. as he then destroys the top of the royal palace. So yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to it, to be honest. They've already started making big changes as of those last few episodes. I mean, fantastic stuff that you'll see, you will have probably seen by now. But as far as like story elements go, this could be where they really start to go crazy. It feels like such an exciting time because there are spoilers now for people who have read the original series. Like me, I didn't know half that stuff was going to happen. I had literally no idea. And that makes it even more exciting. I'm even more excited for the 1,000-Year Blood War anime than I kind of thought I was going to be, which is a great place to be. But yeah, that's it for the video, I think. There's not an awful lot else to say. Obviously, it's coming 2024. We don't know when. If I had to guess, it's probably going to be minimum 6 months away, maybe a little bit longer, 7 months, something like that. So that puts us around April time. Could be in time for my birthday, perhaps. It's a cool trailer. It's a weird trailer. I think a lot of the trailers for the 1,000-Year Blood War arc have been a little bit weird. They've been like kind of conceptual and yeah, abstract and a bit odd. But I'm kind of all for it. I like the vibe of this trailer. Uryu, of course, activating his bow at the end there. I think it's just a sign that he is presumably going to be on the front foot this time. He is going to be maybe a little more actively involved in the fight scenes. That's what I'm taking away from that moment. Could be completely wrong. It could just be being done to be a nice footnote to end the trailer. But I'm thinking it's probably going to be something like that. That was the trailer for part 3. It is only a minute long. There's not crazy amount to go over, and yet we still managed to talk for ages, apparently. So, yeah, I really hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Let me know if you agree with any of my thoughts regarding what we see in this trailer. We seem to be getting Mayuri versus Pernida, Kyoraku versus Leal. There's a hint there towards the Friend saga, which I'm hoping is expanded. Uryu versus Senjumaru, it seems like is happening as well, which seems to be perhaps how they escape her bankai. That's very, very intriguing, and obviously a lot of references to the Almighty and Yhwach's new Soul King power. And of course, Aizen, Chair Summer, that's not too surprising to see all of that iconography making a big splash in this trailer. That's going to be one of the things people are most excited about. But also the Rankar returning, the Fullbringers returning. There's a lot to be excited for, and I really can't wait to see the episodes. But yeah, that's it from me, guys. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you thought I missed anything in this trailer. I would love to hear down below to see if you caught anything else. Do please let me know. I would love to hear it. Make sure to hit subscribe if you haven't done already. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And yeah, until next time, I'll catch you later. And I'll see you then.